Sundari Mataji, can you share with us any realizations you have on Krishna consciousness and how your life has been really made valuable?
Oh my God, I don't know where to start. I think that might have to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
I get a little bit tired. I mean, there's just, my whole life has changed, of course. Everything's just changed completely. So I really might have to wait for that one. That's just, my life was pretty big life. You know, you're talking to me, I met the devotees in 2005. After my husband left. After my husband left this planet, and he went off to the Prabhu's Yogi. I presume that's where he left. I asked him to wait for me. No, I didn't ask him to wait for me. That's not true. I didn't realise he'd be waiting for me until I met the devotees. But after I met the devotees and read a little bit, I realised he'd be waiting. I'd read a little bit straight away and realised he was waiting. But there was no two ways about it. So a whole lot of things have happened since then, because if I hadn't realised that he was waiting, excuse me for the hiccups, I'll have to stop talking, I think. I can hear people already laughing at that. Did Suzie ever really stop talking? You must be kidding, Rupa. This is an 1/8 juice and 7/8 water, because that's about what I'm on at the moment, with a bit of bicarb thrown in. Charming, that's my diet at the moment. Yeah, so just, I think I need to share that another time, but I mean the difference, people say, I said to myself, I didn't know how the change, I never saw so much of a change. Suzie Graham came this way, and supposedly to Krishna consciousness, who knows, and I try and scratch the surface with Maharaj there sometimes about this. Nothing was ever really happening. But I just sort of got an understanding that it's not even. You know, as the kids say, it's not even. There is no comparison, there is no anything with Krishna consciousness. Just nothing, it's just Krishna. Everything is Maharaj. Who could say but him and his closest disciples, and live it and understand that there is only Krishna, there isn't anything else. It's just what it is. And I'm really hoping that I'm able to go back to Godhead, of course. These last few days are so important, and to have you two here at this time is just such a blessing. I can't even tell you how much, to have two beautiful devotees who, I mean, I didn't know you as a couple. I knew you I knew you separately. Yeah. And I had so much respect for you both separately, for the different service that you do. And there was always, you know, you, Reverend, I met on the street in God knows when, and you always popped up and turned up there somewhere. You're always there. And Jess was kind of like the devotee that was also, she was always here, but she was also there for me with all my questions.
We met when Bhakti Vrajesvari came to New Govardhan.
Ah, yes. Oh, you said when we met. That recently.
It was, but it feels like we've known each other for
lifetimes. Well, I feel like I've known you ever since my devotee life started, like I've known Rupa.
I also feel like that. Yeah.
So that was really lovely.
Yeah.
It is really lovely that we've known each other like that.
Yeah. It's been so sweet.
Yeah, it was really quite amazing that we've had that relationship.
Yeah, and cooking for Maharaj together. That was
that was so funny. That was just too funny. Because that was Maharaj suggesting, what's his name? Vijayavara.
Yes.
I only say what's his name. I know him as well as anything, but his name was Damo.
Yes.
Damien.
Yes.
And I always knew him as Damien. He wasn't anything else to me. He was like me. I'm only getting initiated by Bhakti Vijayaprana Maharaj, so sorry about that.
Yeah.
So I took on another giant of the spiritual world as well, and so did he. He took on Indra Swami. Indra Swami, and I took on Jai Pataka Maharaj to hopefully, took them on, what a terrible expression, typical of me, corporate.
became initiated.
We became initiated by two giants of bhakti,
Yeah.
of course. And, you know, you think that's a lot, but it's more than a lot, because to serve great devotees is something that's great. It's just something I had no idea. But anyway, I can't possibly go into that. That's really huge. But we were both already, Vrajesvari and I, deeply committed to Maharaj. Deeply, deeply committed. And we were wanting to serve him. And so I used to always say, pray to Maharaj, what can I do to serve you? What can I do to serve you? Bhaktivinoda Maharaj. And so, what can I do to serve you, Maharaj? And he'd say this, so there was never anything to do to serve him. There was plenty to do, but I got something fixed for him, a little thing here, a little thing there, and this, that, bits and pieces of things that I could do.
Yeah.
And then Vrajesvari came and said, Maharaj would like you to cook him lunch. And I'm like, Maharaj would like me to cook him lunch. Maharaj wants me to poison him, right? Like, well, that's not so funny in the circumstances of our conversations around Vaishnavas and stuff, dramas. But, not funny, Susie. But I didn't cook, basically. I used to cook a lot. I learned to cook from French cooks and French chefs. And
went to school.
but that wasn't school. It was after school, when my mother thought that there was no way that I'd probably be able to be married and have a family and at any time, because she was old school. Well, she wasn't old school, but in this case she was. Just better have a quick, 3 or 4 classes at least, so you know how to boil an egg, perhaps. Put some toast in the toaster. So yes, I did. I never had a real taste for it, but I did get quite interested in the whole, putting together of flavours. I was always interested in joining dots and things. So anyway, this is about me. We don't want that interested. It's boring for everybody.
It was so nice to share the service with you of cooking.
Well, it was so beautiful
Maharaj.
because Jessica knew all the cooking of and all the vegetables of the beautiful vegetables of the Vaishnavas, but even the beautiful vegetables of Australia that are available to Vaishnavas, and the beautiful tastes and flavours that we can withdraw from vegetables using the beautiful herbs that she had. And so there we were off in our funny little kitchen.
And that was so funny when Susie walked into the kitchen. She had exactly the same reaction as me the first time I saw the Brahmacharini kitchen. Susie said, "Where's the kitchen?" I said, "Oh, this is it. It's a tiny little narrow, a sort of room with only one wall. The rest is like a wire cage around it and a 2-burner gas." And she said, "Oh, this is it? This is the kitchen?" And I just cracked up laughing because that's what I said too. Not much of a kitchen, but we cooked up some nice offerings in there.
Well, by the time we wound up to the end of the week, it was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the pizzas. He loved
well, that
the
was the end of
pizzas
the week.
so
He ate
much.
so many. Well, we think he did.
He had,
Don't tell anyone, it might be a secret.
yeah, he had most of what we cooked, which was a lot. It was,
Well, we wanted to give him, this was our big opportunity. Both of us wanted to serve him. We both had beautiful darshans.
yes.
Unbelievably
yes,
beautiful darshans.
Really.
And we had unbelievably beautiful lectures. You know what, if I last a little bit longer, I'll be there for his lectures in August. He'll be there in
Wow.
August, he'll be back.
Oh, nice. I've been wondering
Yeah.
when that'll happen.
He'll be there this year,
Yes.
some stage, but I don't think I'll be there. But I'll certainly be there in spirit.
Yes, most definitely.
Anyway, so lucky I'm not back because he'll bust me. That wasn't me, although I think he might already have a hint. That wasn't me. Wasn't I. But now I've had Radhashyam, Sri Radhe's classes.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe a little more might be expected of me. Maybe a little more might be expected.
I think you might have a bit of a concession now. There wouldn't be any expectations.
No, maybe I just direct the traffic. Yes.
Yeah, you can tell me what to do.
Yes. Well, I was wondering if I'd get a chance to do that doll.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that was really. But we had so much fun not just the cooking, because that was fun because we had the whole day to look forward to.
Yes.
Serving Maharaj all day, really, when you're cooking, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so that's beautiful. And then hanging out together and talking about Krishna.
Yeah.
And then discussing Maharaj's lectures and how much we love him.
Yes.
So we could have this lovely scarf that belongs to Pandita in Sydney. That's another whole story.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, it did belong to her. I don't think it belongs to her anymore.
Yeah.
I think it belongs to the spiritual world. That's where it's going. But she belongs to the spiritual world. She lives in Vrindavan, of course.
Yes.
I find it. Yeah, so she's there.
Yeah, she's very lovely.
So we're there. It's just it's very beautiful. I feel all around me now. I just feel when you're here that I hear music, and I just feel it as kirtan.
Beautiful.
It's very nice. It feels like kirtan. Thank you for that. Thank you. You brought that.
Love being with you.
Yeah.
Wish we could have had more time with you.
Yeah.
Well, you have. Everybody's got more time with each other because, as Maharaj explained, and to me always, he explained the fact that we're not tied. We live in the spiritual world, devotees. We're not tied to any
Time barriers.
any.
Any time barriers. There's no time
No,
in the spiritual
there's no
world.
time. I am the destroyer of worlds. Yeah, there's no time barrier that we're tied to.
That's why you got to put in a good word for me when you
Always,
get there.
always. So I'll be dragging, Maharaj with those tall shoes.
Yes.
I'll be hanging on, because I'll be all fixed, and I'll be hanging on to that dress, the bottom of that dhoti,
Yes.
and I'll be dragged around. That's me. And I'll be fine. I'll be fit and physically healthy again like I was always.
Yeah.
I'll just be there. So I'm very blessed. I am just, and I have Savekshana and Maharaj to thank for my incredible blessing of being able to, I just can't believe it. I just can't believe I have this blessing of having these two Vaishnavas, the spiritual masters. It's just beyond. It's beyond it. Anyway, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, you too.
Thank you for your beautiful association.
Just fun.
You're such a dear friend. We're definitely going to continue this relationship in the
Definitely.
spiritual world.
No question.
No doubt about that.
It's Krishna's mercy on us that we're allowed to be in your association at this time.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't see it like that at all.
Mm.
I'd see this as Krishna's. I haven't even discussed Vrindavan because Maharaj taught me that, sad that I haven't had more time with Jagtaka Maharaj, but Jagtaka Maharaj told me to make a lot of disciples,
Mm.
then that I would, and so I will, because I know how I'm going to make them now. I've figured it all out.
Mm-hmm.
This bossy bird's here. But I figured it out because of my other sorts of skills that I've got.
Yes.
And I know I can do it. I've put a few things in, train, I again. But that means that there are some very competent people in Sydney who will be able to do that. The next 50 years for Jagtaka Maharaj don't mean any of the stuff that you see in the public eye.
Mm-hmm.
They mean something very tangible.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they mean. They don't mean, well, they do mean all that has been said and done. Of course they mean that, but they don't mean just the words. They don't mean just the celebrations. They mean all those things, but they also mean, what I'm sharing with you now, very private.
Mm-hmm.
They mean do it. Nike, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
They mean do it. That's why I've always had so much respect for you, River. Do it. Forget about talking about it, just do it. It doesn't matter what, who, how, why. Just do it. If you do it, and then it happens. That's what's so important. I'm so passionate about this story. I'm so passionate about this. Like, it's easy to talk about it, so easy, but it's so difficult to do it. And I racked my brains for how to even think about doing it. How to think about bringing people. Like you did, you walked in here today, one of the first things you said was, how do we bring more people to Krishna consciousness? My Guru Maharaj, my other Guru Maharaj, Jayapataka Maharaj, said what you've got to do now is go and bring more people to Krishna consciousness. And I'm thinking, well, I knew before I was diagnosed that's what he wanted me to do, and I'm thinking, how can I possibly do this? I had no idea, and then I realised that I had to do something, and the only way to do it was to probably manifest somehow some sort of programs that would help. So I've got a few people in place that will help to do that, and hopefully the care and assistance that some of these other programs will, like bringing the children in to look after older people and understand that this is what this is about. Very, very, very important. I will lose it. And things like, I'm not going to say it, but things like who want to westernise the Krishna conscious movement, I've got no problems with that at all, none whatsoever. It's absolutely fine. But never, ever, 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 ever forget where we came from.
Exactly.
We came from the eternal scripts, the eternal textures, the eternal, the eternal texts. These are eternal writings. These are eternal. That means there is no east, north, south, whatever. There is none of that. There is just Krishna. Everything is Krishna. That's all. We don't need anything else. So that's my little thing anyway. I didn't shut up when I said I would.
Maybe we should let you rest.
This is why...
Maybe we should let you rest now.
Yeah, I think I need to rest since I was supposed to stop resting at 3:30. What time is it?
It's 5:30 now.
I haven't done too badly.
When you talk about Krishna and Krishna consciousness, you become energetic like a young lady.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's always happened. That's why it was hard to get the diagnosis. And in the hospital, even people couldn't understand. So I'm just wondering if this stuff's even coming into me. Maybe it just is on hold for a while.
Okay, so we should probably go and let you rest.
It's lovely to talk to you.
And you too.
Vrajesvari Nandana Muda Bugatra Chandana Mule Paganda
Hi Bob, from Govinda Valley. So we've gathered here today to celebrate and honor the life of Sundari Vrajesvari, and Suzie Graham, as she was known to many. We spent about 9 months here at Govinda Valley during the period when she was sort of finishing up with her material side of life and wanting to focus much more stronger on her spiritual life, and so she found a space here to do service in between her visits to India. And she was a great contribution to us at Govinda Valley, to the team as well as to the many individuals here. For me personally, Sundari, you were an example of a very warm human being, a very warm, I would say motherly person, but also a very friendly person. And you had a certain realness about yourself, whatever situation I saw you in, which were quite a few, sometimes in the city, sometimes here at Govinda Valley. And you knew a lot about many different topics. And all these topics, when you were busy with them, engaged in, you would always be a very real and realistic kind of person. And the same, you went about your spiritual practice, you were very real and realistic in it. So, and also the way you left your body, it's also very exemplary. It's very courageous to just then stop eating and basically fast until the last moment and just be there and focus on Krishna and focus on you know, going back to him, without frills, without show, just do that. Very exemplary. So I remember you fondly and miss you greatly, and see you on the other side. I'll send you a Twitter when I come to the spiritual world. Haribo.
She was just recently initiated, so I'm having to remember her name. But she was known to us when she was here as Suzie. Suzie was here for nearly a year or so. She was in the process of trying to organise her life to retire from practical business activity and to become fully dedicated in devotional service. So she was speaking to us about that, was thinking about perhaps if she could find a place where she could live, where she didn't have to worry too much about maintaining herself, and so she could get more focused in her devotional life. So we suggested she could come and live here. We made an arrangement to give her a room, and so she did. She was very, very happy here. She rang me just a couple of weeks ago before she passed away. We spoke for an hour or so, and we were talking about her time here and how happy she was and how grateful she was for being given the opportunity, because that was a bit of a catalyst for her to progress further, become more committed. She spent quite some time in India. She also spent a lot of time in Melbourne as well, and then again back to India. Yeah. So in India, the last time was where she discovered that actually she was very seriously ill. Even while she was here, she was regularly tired and not feeling that well. So things obviously got worse, and she went to the doctor, and from there they had medical tests, and after that they discovered she had serious stage 4 cancer, terminal cancer. So the result of that was she decided to wind up her affairs and come back to Australia, make herself comfortable and organise her situation so she could make as auspicious a departure from this world as possible. So she did that. After sorting through things with her family, she established herself in Bellingen in a nursing home there, and gradually wound down her external activities, became more and more focused in her hearing and chanting meditation on Krishna. And by all accounts, no doubt, she left her body in a very auspicious circumstance, and as is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, that whatever we are thinking of at the time of death, at the time when we leave our body, that will be our destination. So on the strength of that, we can imagine she was very absorbed in Krishna, and she went back to Krishna. But reflecting on her life, not that we knew her, of course, her whole life, because she only recently came to Krishna consciousness, but she first became interested in Krishna consciousness in Sydney, which is obviously her hometown, probably a little over 10-15 years ago. Her husband had also suffered from cancer similarly and passed away after a long struggle against the disease. From that point on, she became more directly involved and interested in Krishna consciousness. She first came to the Sydney Temple, probably back in early 2000s, and so I got to know her there off and on. She became heavily involved also in Govindas, going there regularly for programs and getting to know all the devotees. She was a person of great professional skill and qualification. Her husband had been a major part of the advertising industry in Sydney especially, and she was very well educated, well connected, and very, very bright, and intellectually very, very intense. So she had been also involved in the social welfare industry, helping develop charities, communications generally, also advertising. So for her age, she was extraordinarily up to speed with all the modern technology and advancement in communication, Facebook advertising, databasing. She just seemed to know everything about everything, and very, 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 very connected with what was happening in the moment. She was involved with various think tanks and various working centres for cultivation of ideas and technologies and strategies. So, in a word that I think everybody would resonate with when it comes to Suzie, was she was extremely intense, intellectually and emotionally intense. And She could talk for hours at a time with great enthusiasm and determination. So much so that inevitably everybody else would get exhausted. But she had awareness, and she would, quickly pick up on how people were thinking and feeling around her, and she would laugh about it and then change the topic or go and do something else. But then next time you see her talking to somebody else in the same kind of intense way. She had so much to say about so many things and was always into everything very intensely and passionately. And of course, especially Krishna conscious understanding and philosophy. So she used to harass me a lot about things like that, wanting to know about this and about that. But she's also contentious in her, she was not exactly a passive person who was just willing to accept. She has always wanted to be involved personally, had her own ideas and realizations, and she was enthusiastic to communicate that. So we had a lot of intense exchanges over the period, but she appreciated being here, and she always maintained she learned a lot, and very happy and grateful for that. So fortunately, or providentially as it worked out, she'd for a long time been wishing to take shelter of Bhaktivijayapurna Maharaj, but towards the end he was reluctant to initiate, and towards the end, because of her circumstances no doubt, she took shelter in Jayapataka Maharaj, who was happy to give her shelter, and therefore in the last 3 or 4 months, I think, before she passed away, she became initiated, although she'd been a devotee a long time and was well fixed up, very, very diligent in chanting her rounds and following the process, always reading and discussing with devotees, and enthusiastic in kirtan. So the extraordinary thing I felt towards the end was, especially for someone who has really in so many ways recently come to Krishna consciousness, was her tremendous conviction and her fortitude and her courage in meeting her destiny. And in that respect she stands as a great example for all of us. She was not particularly old, and she still had lots of enthusiasm for life. But when faced with the prospect of her demise, she chose to respond to it in the best tradition of Krishna conscious realization, and therefore she faced up to the reality of her impending death, and with a kind of admirable spirit and courage and determination to take shelter fully according to her understanding of what was to be done at a time like this. And in that regard she was obviously successful, and her example stands as a tremendous inspiration for all of us. If only we could all meet our end in the same kind of way. So by certain standards she was not thought of as being a senior or experienced devotee, but by terms of her character, realization, commitment, determination, she was extraordinary. And so even though she has only been devotee and partly initiated only for a very short time, she was fully realised in her devotional identity and conviction and service, and by all probabilities would have gone home back to Godhead, having left her body. So all in all, quite an extraordinary person, extraordinary devotee, extraordinary woman, and it was always interesting to be with her, privileged to know her. She did an enormous amount of service for us in a short time, gave us lots of knowledge and understanding we never had before, and lots of encouragement to develop and pursue different agendas. So we're very grateful for her and for her time here at Govinda Valley, and we pray for her and wish her all well in her future, wherever that might be. So that is Sundari Vrajesvari Devidasi and her life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.